Hi, this is Mike Rapin from DestroyTheSide.org, and I was inspired by one of our writers, Marcus, who does the comic book Hangover on Thursdays, and I decided that I would do my own video comic book review, since it's such a cool thing to do. For one, I just want to apologize if the audio is kind of bad. I'm recording on my awesome MacBook from like 2007, so it's fancy. Anyways, got a couple comics to review this week, so let's just get this thing going. Haunt number 1, Robert Kirkman, Todd McFarlane, Ryan Ottley. This is a fantastic comic book. Uh, Basically, it's 100% badass, and it's written by Kirkman, co-created by Todd McFarlane, and basically the art is amazing. You get to see Ryan Ottley in a whole new medium where he's actually doing like a dark kind of comic book, and with Todd McFarlane's inks, it's just utterly amazing. The comic book is from start to finish is just incredible. The story is totally original as far as I know. I mean, I'm just some guy, but it's pretty intense comic book. I enjoyed it very much. If you're looking for a new comic book, go out and get this. Actually, don't even screw that. Go out and get this comic book. If you don't own it, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. Anyways, next comic book that I've got, Astonishing X-Men number 31. If you've been reading this since Joss Whedon's run, you're a badass. If not, pick this issue up because it's a great starting point. They basically go back to something that Joss Whedon started way back at the beginning of Astonishing X-Men with this thing called Sword, and it's like an offshoot of Shield, or Shield's an offshoot of Sword, and I don't know. I don't even know where Shield plays anymore because of crazy stuff that's going on in Secret Warriors. But this comic book was pretty much fantastic. There's a new artist. There's a beautiful shot of Storm there. The story was pretty damn good, outside of the beginning of it. The beginning of the comic kind of had me confused since I really couldn't tell what the hell was going on. Uh, but then the X-Men get pulled into it, and they kind of explain things a little bit more. But it was really confusing opening, and I don't know if they were intending that way, but the art didn't really help the story much. I couldn't really tell who was talking what. But nonetheless, I love Warren Ellis, I love the X-Men, so I picked this up because I've been buying it since forever. And yeah, it's really good. Again, a good jumping on point if you're looking to get into Astonishing X-Men. Next, I have Amazing Spider-Man number 608. This is an interesting story. The cover features a character that I am, don't even know who it is. Supposedly it's supposed to be Ben Reilly, but he wasn't in the issue. Spoilers, I'm sorry. The issue's about like Peter Parker and Ben Reilly, kind of, and the Raptor thinks that Peter Parker is Ben Reilly, and from there craziness ensues. There's talk of Craven, the Hunter. There's talk of other things. The art was really interesting in this comic. Uh, it was a new style that didn't. I don't feel like it went with the story. It felt pseudo anime ish. But then again, the story was kind of. Ugh. I mean, I love Mark Guggenheim. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It wasn't the best Spider-Man I've read in a while. Uh, but it's all gonna tie into this giant gauntlet thing. That's why all these Spider-Man bad guys are coming back. But if you're gonna start reading Spider-Man, maybe don't start right here. Start maybe 3 issues ago, or maybe wait till the next arc. If you're like me, you're gonna want to read as much Spider-Man as possible before you start reading Spider-Man. So get a hold of some of the older issues. Start at 600 maybe. I don't know, but this issue, I don't know. I was 50-50 on it, so it wasn't that good, but it wasn't terrible. Next, Batman and Robin number 5. I'm not a DC fan. Everything that I have here is pretty much Marvel. But I've been reading Batman and Robin since issue number 1. I mean, I absolutely love Grant Morrison. He's a fantastic writer. I love pretty much everything that he does. Uh, but they're starting this thing. I don't know. I want to say that issue 3 I was kind of lost. Like, that issue didn't make any sense to me. But issue 4 redeemed it, and issue 5 is redeeming it even more. Things are starting to open up, and it's getting very, very interesting. If you're into Batman, this is a series that you should be reading. You should be reading Batman and Robin. I mean, yeah, you love Detective Comics, yeah, you love Batman, yeah, you love all the other Batman stories, but this is kind of awesome. It's kind of freaking awesome. So you should definitely go out and pick out issues 1 through 4. If you can, just get number 4, because number 4 starts this arc that they're currently in, and they give a nice sum up of what happened in 1 through 3. But 1 through 3 kind of led into this arc really like a lot, because some of the characters are from issues 1 through 3 are now in the current story. I mean, obviously that's going to happen in comic books, but the villains are kind of based off of the last arc, so you might want to pick that stuff up. Anyways, Spider-Man 1602. I don't know if you've heard of the 1602 universe that Marvel has, but it's pretty much the I'm sorry, I'm probably going to have to bleep that if I didn't already bleep it, but this comic book, this comic book is amazing. Like, it should say Amazing Spider-Man 1602. It's a great retelling of the Spider-Man story in a 1602 world. There's touch of the 1602 mutants, is like the X-Men kind of. So if you were into that, if you read the 1602 stuff and you like the mutants and the X-Men part, definitely pick this up because they're touching on that, and I know it's going to become a more prevalent part of the story. But nonetheless, I mean, even if you didn't read 1602, you should pick this up because it's a very good comic. Like overall, like it's very well put together, written by Jeff Parker. I've seen him on a couple other things, very small things, but he did a damn good job with this comic. I have to say, if you're not reading it, you should go pick it up. And here comes the bad stuff. I'm sorry, but Kill Audio number 1. Now, I don't know where to start with this. This issue, I don't know. I love Claudio Sanchez. He's in Coheed and Cambria. I love the band, blah, blah, blah. But this comic, like, I'd seen a couple previews for it, and I thought it was a kind of cool idea. This guy who can't die, people are constantly trying to kill him, kind of thing. And then the story just goes... I don't know where it goes. It just goes. And it's not a place that I like to be. I don't like feeling uncomfortable and very, 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 very confused when reading a comic book. Like, to the point where I can't even tell what character is what, kind of thing, or who's saying what and what's where, and I don't know. The scenery, the art, maybe is just really confusing to me. Maybe I just can't grasp some conceptual stuff. I don't know. This comic is really crazy. It's all over the place. There's text flying everywhere. I would say unless you're looking for something that's really crazy, don't pick this up. The only word that I can say right now is... Ugh. It wasn't that good. I'm sorry. I love you, Claudio Sanchez, but I couldn't get into that too much. But I'm going to give it a second chance with the second issue. I mean, just as I did with Batman and Robin, I had to let the next issue try to make up for it. So anyways, The Torch, number 2. Another Marvel comic. Alex Ross and Mike Carey. It's drawn by Birkencotter. I don't know who that is off the top of my head, but it's not really important. The art's mediocre. The cover art is beautiful because it's done by Alex Ross. This comic, I read issue 1 and I was like, okay, we're touching on some really old stuff that I really don't know about, but I'm assuming they're going to explain it. In issue 2, they did explain some stuff, but the beginning of the comic was kind of confusing. And you know what, I'm going to say it's probably Mike Carey, because that's how I've always felt that Mike Carey writes. Sometimes some of the stuff that he writes just doesn't make any sense. His stuff on X-Men Legacy is great, the plot's great, but the dialogue and the story as a whole, I don't know if I'm a fan of it. So, yeah, Torch was interesting. I don't know, if you're really into the Torch, maybe go pick this stuff up. If you like old Marvel, like old school, I'm talking like World War II Marvel, you might be into this. But for the new reader, not so much. Again, I'm going to keep buying this. I love Alex Ross, and I know that this is going to have a fantastic ending. So, yeah, it was alright. On the lower end of the spectrum. Anyways, so, to wrap this up, I am Mike Rapin for TheShredderSide.org, and I don't have a title for this yet, but for now we're just going to call it Video Comic Review, something like that. I don't know. But thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, thanks a bunch. See you next week.